The baby Veronica case has captured national attention since the child's biological father, Dustin Brown of Nowata, challenged the adoption of the child by a South Carolina couple. Now there are more twists in the legal battle that went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the future of baby Veronica has yet to be decided.
In the media, she has been known as Baby Veronica. But she is no longer a baby. She'll turn 4 in September. She's full of energy and likes to perform.
Mama, baby, that's our song.
That's my song? Okay.
Veronica calls her stepmother Robin Brown mommy and Dustin Brown daddy.
I'm not gonna hurt you, Daddy.
Not. Okay.
Dustin Brown is Veronica's biological father, a member of the Cherokee Nation. She came to live with him after a lengthy South Carolina custody case which pitted him against Melanie and Matt Campobianco, who began adoption proceedings for Veronica after she was born. Brown said he had no idea his former fiancée, Christy Maldonado, the birth mother, was putting the child up for adoption before her birth. He says he didn't find out until Veronica was 4 months old when he was served with papers at Fort Sill 6 days before he was deployed to Iraq.
Whenever I found out that whenever I signed the papers, the guy told me that the birth mother had signed her rights away and the child was living in South Carolina. And I was like, what do I got to do? He said, I got to get a hold of a lawyer and get it going like that. Very next day, it's whenever I went and talked with Jag at the military, and we got things going, got the ball on the roll.
He sought to end the adoption proceedings and get custody of his daughter. The case stalled while Brown was overseas for a year and then lingered in South Carolina family court. Eventually, the case ended up in the South Carolina Supreme Court, which ruled that Brown should have custody of his child based on the Indian Child Welfare Act. Attorney Chrissy Nemo represents the Cherokee Nation in the case.
Both the family court and the Supreme Court in South Carolina found as a matter of law that had Cherokee Nation been properly notified, the child would never have been allowed to leave the state of Oklahoma.
During the adoption proceedings, the Cherokee Nation received an inquiry from the birth mother's attorney to verify whether Dustin was indeed a tribal member. But Dustin's name was spelled wrong on the inquiry, and the birth date submitted for him was incorrect.
And Cherokee Nation responded, based on the information you have provided, we cannot confirm that he's a member.
Chief of the Cherokee Nation, Bill John Baker, says had the name and birth date been submitted properly, Indian Child Welfare would have intervened.
They would have either taken it, kept it in state court, or taken it out of state court into tribal court. And Indian Child Welfare says that, A, we want to rehabilitate the parents if there's something broke, and place it to the nearest family member that is safe. And if not the nearest family member, then another Cherokee family till we can get the family back together.
The South Carolina court ruled the Indian Child Welfare Act applicable, and Dustin Brown was given custody of Veronica. The Campobiancos handed over Veronica to Brown on New Year's Eve of 2011 when she was 27 months old. Veronica has now been living with Dustin Brown and his wife for 18 months.
Oh, that's been awesome. I mean, little me running around. I mean, trying to keep up with her, that's about the hard thing to do all day. I mean, she's full of energy. She's always into something. I mean, it's a blast.
But in South Carolina, the Campobiancos were not giving up the fight for the child they had raised and loved since birth. The case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and when the justices ruled on June 25th, it appeared to be a victory for the South Carolina couple and for the child's birth mother, Christy Maldonado of Bartlesville.
I think it's fair to say that the United States Supreme Court gave us everything we could have asked for from a federal court.
Lori Alvino McGill represents Maldonado and says her client handpicked the Campobiancos to raise the child, and it was agreed Maldonado would be part of Veronica's life. Alvino McGill says Brown's intervention cost her client a relationship with the child for the past 18 months.
I don't think my client will ever forgive him for that. I don't think she believes that that was in Veronica's best interest, and I think that she wholeheartedly, wants to see her family put back together again. I think Christy, Matt, Melanie, and Veronica were very much, part of a big family that got completely derailed.
Has the birth mother tried to see Veronica?
Not at all. She's never attempted to make a phone call. She's never had her lawyer contact my lawyer to, contact her or nothing like that.
The Supreme Court decided the South Carolina court erred. Justice Samuel Alito wrote the majority opinion. He said the Indian Child Welfare Act did not apply in this case and that it was primarily intended to stem unwarranted removal of Indian children from intact Indian families. Alito also stated the parent abandoned the Indian child before birth and never had custody of the child. Justice Sonia Sotomayor authored the dissenting opinion. She wrote, "It bears remembering, however, that the birth father took action to assert his parental rights when baby girl was 4 months old as soon as he learned of the impending adoption." She also stated, "I note, however, that the majority does not and cannot foreclose the possibility that on remand, baby girl's paternal grandparents or other members of the Cherokee Nation may formally petition for adoption of baby girl." Attorney John Nichols represents Dustin Brown in South Carolina.
I think that Justice Sotomayor, without disagreement from the majority, had sort of gave a roadmap on how to proceed in the case.
Brown's parents have filed for custody of Veronica in Cherokee Tribal Court, and Brown and his wife have now both filed to adopt Veronica in Nowata County.
Veronica's birth mother has not consented to and will not consent to adoption of her daughter by anyone other than Matt and Melanie.
Alvino McGill says her client is considering revoking the adoption consent she gave the Campobiancos 3.5 years ago.
She's absolutely prepared to do what it takes, and if that means seek custody so that she can welcome Matt and Melanie back into Veronica's life, I think she would do that.
Brown believes it's in the best interest of Veronica to stay with him.
Her whole world revolves around me and my wife. We're mommy and daddy. For her to get pulled from us, I'm worried that, it's going to hurt her. It's going to mess with her head.
And he vows the Supreme Court ruling won't deter him.
Even though I'm still disappointed in it. But, I'm still there. I'm still in the fight, I'm never giving up on her.
The Campobiancos and their attorney declined to be interviewed by ONR. A decision from the South Carolina Supreme Court on the future of this case could be handed down at any time.